Okay, we are live. So it's 4:14. Actually, now it's 4:15 a.m. at 8/26, 2023. And this episode is going to be Flora episode 4. So let me play an intro and I'll be. Whoops, I don't want to do that. Way back. Okay, so that's the end of that. And what I'm going to do first is go here. Because this is what I try to do every time this happens here. Just to give people, some sort of a background on this if they haven't heard about this case yet. So this is a story um, about these four little girls here. Kiana Davis, 11, Garrett Phillips, 9, Gary McDonald, and Keani Welsh, 5. Um, and the mother is Galen Rose, and this is the reward. We're going to try to bring this up beyond the $5,000. If anybody leads to an arrest, that's the reward. And somebody knows, obviously, uh, they were unalived in their Flora, Indiana home, November 21st, 2016. And after a while, this was determined to be an arson fire. It was considered to be accidental at first, um, but then quickly changed to arson fire. But there was some time left. Missed. So this is the phone number if you have any tips, or you can write to P.O. Box 80132, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46280. You don't have to give a name. Um, and this is the website you can go to here. So there's that. Okay, so basically, a little breakdown here. On Monday, November 21st, 2016, the Florida Fire Department, Carroll County EMS, Florida Police, and Carroll County Sheriff's Department responded to a house fire located at 103 East Columbia Street, Flora, Indiana. This fire was determined to have been intentionally set, and the investigation of this arson fire continues. The fire resulted in the unaliving of 4 children: Kiana Davis, Garrett Phillips, Carrie L. McDonald, and Keani Welsh, 5. The mother of the 4 children, Galen Rose, and 2 responding officers suffered non-life-threatening injuries. The Indiana State Police is the lead investigative agency and is being assisted by the Carroll County Sheriff's Department. So it's the Indiana State Police's game here. The Florida Police Department and fire investigators from the Indiana Department of Homeland Security. This is an ongoing criminal investigation, and the Indiana State Police ask anyone with information regarding this arson fire to call 1-800-382-4628. And there's the reward leading up to the arrest and conviction of person or persons responsible for this fire. So there you go. And there they are. All right, so let's get out of that. One of the issues that have been raised in this thing here is the smoke detector. That was obviously not in use at the time. So what I wanted to do is kind of go over this information here about smoke detectors and how they're built, and so basically the development of these life-saving appliances began in 1939 when Ernst Mayr, a Swiss physicist, devised an ionization chamber device capable of detecting combustible gases in mines. Because I think before this they used canaries, right? Not sure, but they used birds at one point for the mines. The real breakthrough was Mayr's invention of a cold cathode tube that could amplify the small electronic signal generated by the device mechanism to a strength sufficient to activate an alarm. Yes, so I was right. Canaries were iconically used in coal mines to detect the presence of carbon monoxide. Where the hell was I? Okay, so right here. Ah. Although ionization chamber smoke detectors have been available in the United States since 1951, they were initially used only in factories, warehouses, and public buildings because they were very expensive. By 1971, residential ICSDs so that must be short for ionization chamber smoke devices, were commercially available. They cost about $125 per detector and sold at a rate of a few $100,000 per year. So nobody gave a shit early. I mean, that's, but to be honest with you, electricity didn't start getting put in homes until, later. So, that's another risk of fire is the electric wiring that goes throughout your house. So, probably became a little bit more important. So, new technological developments occurred over the next 5 years, reducing the cost of the detectors by 80%. And boosting sales to $8 million in 1976 and $12 million in 1977. So they really took off in the late 70s. By this time, solid-state circuitry had replaced the earlier cold cathode tube. So there was more of like a circuit in their circuit as opposed to a tube. Significantly reducing the size of the detectors as well as their cost. Design refinements including more energy efficient alarm horns. enable the use of commonly available sizes of batteries rather than the hard to find specialty batteries that had previously been required. So the battery in everything is very, very important. Improvements in the circuitry made it possible to monitor both the decrease in voltage and the buildup of internal resistance in the battery, either of which would trigger a signal to replace the power source. So, on a side note here, I may pull this up a little later, but smoke alarms detect fires by sensing small particles in the air using a couple of kinds of technologies. Once they detect those particles above a certain level, they signal the alarm to sound so that you and your family can get to safety and call 911. So, so normally when there is no smoke about, the light beam from the LED does not reach the detector. An electrical circuit 4 monitoring the photocell detects that all is well and nothing happens. The alarm remains silent. So we have one so we have one smoke goes in here. Chamber contains a photocell. It goes to electronic light detector that generates electricity when the light falls on it. So it turns this into light. There's your circuit there, which sends it over to the alarm. So there's your power source. I mean, not your power source, but your grid. And then it goes to the alarm. Ding, 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 ding. So this is what's inside. Pretty awesome science for the time, like. But all I'm saying is it's, 2023, so there's got to be a better way to do this. You could probably download an app on your phone at some point. All right, so let's go back to, I want to go back to this here. Okay, read that already. Oh, I probably should turn on my music. I always freaking forget to do that. All right. So let's get back to this. Improvements in the circuitry made it possible to monitor both the decrease in voltage and the buildup of internal resistance in the battery, either of which would trigger a signal to replace the power source. The new generation of detectors could also function with smaller amounts of radioactive source material, and the sensing chamber and smoke detector enclosure were designed for more effective operations. So these are the plastics that are involved here. These are the raw materials. An SD, smoke detector is composed of a housing, basically the structure of it, polyvinyl chloride or polystyrene plastic. So styrene is a type of plastic, and this is a type of vinyl here. Styrene is very solid, but it'll crack if fallen. Okay, so this is what I actually want. So we'll go here. I don't want that. Sorry if nobody can read this, but so polystyrene is a synthetic polymer, which is a plastic made from monomers, or I know a little bit about monomers and plastics and nylon. And plastic is a derivative of nylon. Nylon is a lot stronger than plastic. I used to work in a nylon producing factory, and the nylon needs to be heated by a certain oil to get hot enough to melt the caprolactam or whatever is used to create the chemical reaction. So it's got a pretty high burn rate, you know, to melt or to go back to its original state. Okay, so the melting point for the styrene is 240 degrees Celsius. And the boiling point is 430 degrees Celsius. So room temperatures in a fire can be about 100 degrees at floor level and rise to about 600 degrees at eye level. So that's definitely melt the plastic. So it can burn and melt. So that's basically the and the reason why I'm going over this is because just closing out some windows here. I think I'll keep that one up. So one of the things about this fire was that the smoke alarm wasn't working, obviously, and I saw a picture today from the house site where the fire detector was on the ground burnt, so it must have melted from the fire. And I know from experience here where I live, I think we have one maybe working smoke detector because we always forget to change out the battery. But we do have a carbon reader in here, so just in case that happens. So I just wanted to go over the whole thing about the development of the smoke alarm, what the smoke alarms are made of, the plastic surrounding it, and all of that stuff. So what I'm going to do now is I want to go to this video here because I think this is very important for the structure of the house. So let me shut the music off here. And we're going to go to what they call balloon style home versus platform frame construction. So 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to be living in a home that has what they call balloon style framing. So let's go here to this. And this is from fire engineering to shout out to these guys here because they do great freaking work.
Hello, my name is Paul Dansbach, and welcome to Fire Engineering's Training Minutes. In this section of Training Minutes, we're going to look at a wood frame building. This building is currently under renovation. The original building is a balloon frame construction. The addition being added to the rear of the structure is platform frame. We will have the opportunity to view and understand the fire spread potential of platform frame versus balloon frame wood frame construction. Balloon frame construction is construction in which the exterior walls and interior walls run vertically from the basement past the first floor to the second floor and potentially to the attic with unfire-stopped voids. A stud bay is created by the space between the two wall studs, the exterior sheathing, and what would be the back of the interior finish. That space is open to the basement in balloon frame construction. Any fire in the basement will extend vertically through the wall, up past the ledger board, into the second floor, and potentially.
So basically, let me stop this for a second. So the reason why they call it, balloon style is basically because of what it says, like balloon style. So let's go to just a regular balloon. So you have, just trying to make sure I get this up right. So you got balloon, here's a balloon. Okay, so if the fire starts down here, so it goes surrounds and then down. It goes up, basically surrounding the entire house. It engulfs the entire house. That's balloon style construction. So just figure, you get the fire down here going up the wall, all the way up to the ceiling, and then up this way around the ceiling. It's very, very poor construction when it comes to fire. So let's go back to the video. And over here,
fire extension. There was no.
Over here in New England, New Hampshire is loaded with balloon style homes. It's most of Massachusetts, the construction down there is a little bit better, especially around the seacoast, and you don't have a lot of that.
No fire stopping between the stud bay and the joist bay. The joist bay is the space created between the two floors.
So these are the joists here, and this is the joist bay here. This is the stud bay. So the stud's what holds up the wall. The joist what holds up the ceiling.
Joists. There is an opening between the end of the joist bay into the vertical stud bay. We're looking at an interior partition. It's an interior bearing partition. The partition is balloon framed. It's opened down into the basement. Therefore, any fire that occurs in the basement will extend through this combustible void space in the stud bay, the space between the studs. Vertically, it will run up into the space created by the floor joists. This partition does not extend beyond the first floor, so the fire extension in this bay will be limited from the basement to the first floor. However, once the fire reaches the joist bay, the space created by two floor joists, the fire is going to run horizontally. In the case of this structure, the fire will run to the B wall.
So this way here.
And the D wall. It will run to those exterior walls, turn vertical again in the balloon framing, and head towards the attic. Another fire extension potential with balloon frame construction is when the fire starts on a floor of the dwelling as a content fire. If the fire extends beyond the interior finish, for example, in this building, the original construction was wood lath with plaster as the interior finish. Another interior finish could also be drywall. Should the fire get beyond the interior finish, the fire will extend into the joist bay. Again, the space created by the wood joists. The fire will run horizontally in the joists and will have the same fire extension potential when the fire reaches the B and D walls of this building, where it will turn vertical and run to the second floor and the attic through the exterior walls of balloon frame construction.
So I'm going to play this again.
Another fire extension potential with balloon frame construction is when the fire starts on a floor of the dwelling as a content fire. If the fire extends beyond the interior finish, for example, in this building, the original construction was wood lath with plaster as the interior finish. Another interior finish could also be drywall. Should the fire get beyond the interior finish, the fire will extend into the joist bay. Again, the space created by the wood joists. The fire will run horizontally in the joists and will have the same fire extension potential when the fire reaches the B and D walls of this building, where it will turn vertical and run to the second floor and the attic through the exterior walls of balloon frame construction. We are in the addition to the structure. The addition is being constructed of platform frame. Platform frame construction is one in which the foundation is constructed and then the first floor is constructed on top of the foundation. The first floor extends to the exterior wall of the structure. Then 1 story of wood frame studs is constructed on top of the floor. That construction method uses a 2x4 plate on top of the floor system. That 2x4 plate and this method of construction builds in the fire stopping. It is referred to.
So this when they construct these walls, they put the floor here
as inherent fire stopping.
Floor stud here and a floor stud on the top, the other stud on the top, and they run their wall studs up from that. So this kind of acts as their fire stopper.
As it is built into the structure as the building is constructed. The built-in fire protection, that 2x4 plate at the bottom, prevents any vertical fire extension from the basement up into this wall. Additionally, as we run vertically in the wall, we get to the top of the wall before our floor joists, and we see another 2x4, a double 2x4 top plate that also eliminates the potential for
So that basically there's very little gaps, you know, with this type of construction. You don't have any gaps in the wall. It's all basically, you know, stopping the flame from getting into the other section.
vertical fire extension story to story within this building. In balloon frame construction, we pointed out the possibility of fire extension when the fire starts as a room and content fire. And
you know, balloon style construction is just much less expensive than all of this stuff.
Pierces beyond the interior finish of the building, extending into the joist bay. With platform frame construction, we do not have that potential. Should the fire start as a room and content fire, get past the drywall on the ceiling and run horizontally to the side wall in the joist bay, the fire will not extend vertically to the second floor as the plywood floor decking to the floor above is installed. Directly above that plywood floor decking is a 2x4 plate. That construction method eliminates the fire extension possibility between the joist bay and the exterior wall or an interior wall partition to the floor above. An area of concern in both platform frame and balloon frame construction is an area in where utilities are run vertically in the walls. Any vertical utility run poses the potential for vertical fire extension. Oftentimes, contractors will cut fire stopping away, will cut the platform frame plates, 2x4 plates, away to run plumbing, ductwork, and other associated utility lines. In our example here, a drain, waste, and vent line, a plumbing line, is installed. It runs from the basement, it runs vertically through the wall space, up, passes into the second floor. This drain, waste, and vent line is an avenue that has to be checked for vertical fire extension. That vent line, where it pierces through the roof, can be used as an indicator to determine where the vent line runs in the structure. Firefighters must aggressively check for vertical fire extension where that drain, waste, and vent line runs vertically through the building. Vertical fire extension is of paramount concern to firefighters. Understanding the difference between platform frame and balloon frame construction will help us determine the potential for vertical fire extension in a wood frame building. Thank you for watching this session of Fire Engineering's Training Minutes.
So I just I just wanted to, reiterate the difference between balloon framing and platform framing. And if you get a fire in anything, it's probably not good. But the more you can give yourself time to get the hell out of there, the better. So I want to watch this one too. Actually, let's go to this one. These guys are really good. Fire engineering. It's a really good site. Um, I've been happy with it. They're pretty, uh, good at explaining it in layman's terms, so to speak.
Hi, my name is Paul Dansback. Welcome to Fire Engineering's Training Minutes. Today we're out at a construction.
Like I said, I grew up in a construction home. Your electricians early. Everybody in my family is electricians. Right up until my immediate family, branch family. But we took things pretty serious because we knew that anytime you're dealing with electricity and homes and where people are going to live, you want to take, a little extra time in what you're doing. That's not always the case when you work for because we work for outfits too. When you're rushing to trying to get jobs done to get to other sites. So I kind of know what goes on in the actual construction of the house and what's good and what's not good. But you see it all the time, especially in the electrical trade.
Construction site to look at the construction of some wood frame townhomes. These townhomes that are being constructed use parallel cord and peak roof trusses in the building. We're going to look at some of the construction features, methods, techniques, and hazards associated with this type of construction. These buildings are being...
So I want to start this again because I was talking through the whole thing. So.
Hi, my name is Paul Dansback. Welcome to Fire Engineering's Training Minutes. Today we're out at a construction site to look at the construction of some wood frame townhomes. These townhomes that are being constructed use parallel cord and peak roof trusses in the building. We're going to look at some of the construction features, methods, techniques, and hazards associated with this type of construction. These buildings are being constructed in a fashion similar to platform framing. Specifically, we have a bottom plate. The bottom plate sits on top of the subflooring, which sits on top of the parallel cord wood trusses. The feature that we're interested in here is the method of platform framing, in that there is no vertical fire extension potential through the stud bay. Furthermore, as we run vertically through the wall, there is no vertical fire extension potential at the top of the stud bay, where we see our double 2x4 top plate. The wood frame walls that separate the townhouse dwelling units are constructed with a technique of using a double stud wood frame wall. The double stud wood frame...
My first love in my life was framing. I loved framing. It was just a great job. I mean, especially if you didn't have hard asses to work for. When we were kids, 17, 18, that's why I left school. I went to work for framing companies. You could make some quick cash. And, this is back in the 80s, early 80s. But, you get out there early in the morning, you throw some lumber up, and you can take off at the end of the day and see, like, you actually built something, you created something. But I loved framing. Framing was fantastic.
wall creates a combustible void space. One 2x4 stud and airspace equal to another 2x4 stud and then another 2x4 wall stud. This space is a combustible void space that is fire stopped at every floor level. There is fire stopping in the floor system below and fire stopping at the top plate to prevent the vertical extension of fire within the double stud wall. One of the greatest concerns to firefighters in this type of construction is the use of parallel cord, lightweight wood trusses, as we see in this floor system.
See right here.
These trusses are spaced 24 inches on center. Lightweight cord trusses lack surface to mass ratio. Surface to mass ratio is key in determining the collapse potential of any structural element, particularly floor systems. The lightweight parallel cord floor trusses bear on the top plate of our wood frame wall. What you notice here is fire stopping. The fire stopping is placed in between the floor trusses. The fire stopping is designed to prevent the horizontal spread of fire into the double stud wall cavity and vertically through the building and horizontally into the next townhouse unit. The lack of fire stopping or the removal of fire stopping during construction will result in rapid vertical and horizontal fire spread through the truss space. The use of parallel cord lightweight wood trusses greatly increases the fire spread potential within the dwelling unit. Our trusses, as we mentioned, are 24 inches on center. The lack of solid material or solid wood joists would allow any fire that extends beyond the interior finish or originates in the combustible void space to spread anywhere within the limit of the dwelling unit up to any fire stopping that might be present. If the building were constructed with 2x10 floor joists installed 16 inches on center, we would have a space between the joists 14.5 inches wide that would allow for horizontal fire extension in the direction parallel to the floor joists. The difference between joisted construction and parallel cord wood truss construction is the potential for fire extension in that combustible void space. In the truss system, the fire has almost no limits up to it reaches the dwelling unit line and code required fire stopping. Another potential for fire extension in this type of construction is when plumbing lines are run through the combustible void space created by the parallel cord lightweight floor trusses. What we see here is a plumbing line penetrating the floor. Any fire in the truss loft or the combustible void space below will extend up around the opening in the
This stuff is pretty interesting in my opinion.
floor that may not be properly fire stopped, resulting in fire extension to the floor above.
Because we know now that what happened is with Flora is you had a fire chief that went in there and gave his own personal opinion of what happened in the fire. That's not an acceptable way to do things anymore, and he has quickly proven to be inaccurate with the fire investigators that went in there. And you need science now. You can't just say, okay, well, the fire started over here and that's what happened. So we know that from a couple of previous videos that I did. The other thing we know is, adding oxygen to a fire is not a good thing. So, that didn't help things at all. I mean, I showed the video of what happens when you add oxygen to the fire.
We're on the top floor of the building, and we're going to look at the roof structure. As mentioned, the roof structure is constructed with peaked, lightweight roof trusses. Let's look up, and we see our bottom cord of the truss, we see the web members, and we see the top cord of the truss. Also notice the large combustible void space that will remain after the drywall has been installed on the underside of the bottom cord of the truss. If we look at the area of the peak, we will notice that our combustible void space between the bottom cord of the truss to the peak of the roof will be between 12 and 15 feet. The use of peaked lightweight wood trusses create large combustible void spaces for fire to grow, extend, and overwhelm that truss loft. This view through the floor truss system clearly details the potential for horizontal fire extension through this area. Also notice the electric utility installed in the truss space. Any mechanical or electrical equipment installed in the combustible void space brings the potential for ignition and fire to occur within the combustible void space created by the floor trusses. The use of lightweight peak roof trusses create a large combustible void space. Should the fire originate or extend into the combustible void space created by the lightweight peak roof trusses, the fire will grow in intensity unnoticed to the firefighters operating below. The use of lightweight floor trusses and roof trusses in this type of construction constitutes an extreme hazard to firefighters should the fire involve the combustible void space of either the floor or the roof truss. Thank you for watching this session of Fire Engineering's Training Minutes.
All right, so that's a little bit about the constructions that can be hazards in types of things like that. So what I want to do now is address this, which I don't think had anything to do with the fire, but this is a little bit of whoops. Okay, so this is basically different types of wire, and in certain zones, in certain codes, these two, this one here, which is your typical Romex, is 12-2 gauge. So you have your ground, positive and negative here. This is just a thin coating of a plastic material on top of the wire. So in some codes you can't use this. I know down in Massachusetts, especially interior, in New Hampshire you can use this all you want. So this is Romex here, and you can see there's really not a lot to it. This is basically your MC cable here. So this is a lot more durable, especially when it comes to fire. This is underground stuff. So this is UF, which is very, very durable, but it's very expensive to use inside. And if you can use Romex, this is the stuff they go with interior stuff. This is basically for outside lighting, anything that has weather elements to it. This is the UF. This is your basic MC cable. MC cables here, where you have a metal coating, and then the wires are underneath the metal coating. So this is much stronger for fire purposes than this stuff here. So and then these are red heads here to prevent any type of kinking here in the wire from the metal. So this is what should be used always, period. But it's just very expensive. This stuff is less expensive than this. And we used to keep all the copper because we used to burn all the copper every year. And back in the day, that was money. We never left any wire around. That was all collected and put in barrels and then burnt. Okay, so just wanted to show people this here because this is different types of wiring. All right, so let's get out of there. So what I want to do now is go here. Already been here almost an hour. Unbelievable. It's 5 o'clock. Okay, so what I got here is this is the Interfire Online website here. And I've been going through this here quite a bit. And this is pretty detailed. And let's just bring up one here. We're going to go to so the objective of this section is a pocket guide to accelerant evidence collection, second edition. This was all the way back in 1999, so this is probably been updated, but it gives us a look at stuff here. So these are the following are possible indicators of an accelerated fire. Witness observations, an odor, type of gasoline odor, or any type of, propane odor or something. So these are the indicators of an accelerant fire, possible indicators. A low pressure valve, a boom or a whoop sound at ignition, an explosion. Burn injuries to the hands, face, legs, or hair of the witness. Unnatural spread of fire, meaning downwards or unusually fast-moving fire. Rolling flames. So these are all flames seen burning directly from the floor. These are all indicators of an ignitable liquid being used. Okay, so now we can go back. So this is ignitable liquid residue sampling techniques. So if the place is carpeted, carpet is woven composition material manufactured from a variety of materials, including wool, nylon, normally nylon. Many modern carpets and carpet padding are of petrochemical origin and thus share molecular similarities with many ignitable liquids. So most of the carpeted floors are made of the same stuff that ignite the fires. So comparison sampling is important. Most of these products have strong absorption and retention qualities, which make them ideal for igniting ignitable liquid residue sampling. So this is how they want you to kind of sample it. And I did that already. Key properties of common ignitable liquids. Liquids have physical properties that cause them to behave differently from most gases or solids. Most common ignitable liquids used as fire accelerants have unique characteristics that manifest themselves in both fire development and evidence from fire scenes. So this is all the stuff that should have been done, right? Almost all hydrocarbon liquids are lighter than water and immiscible and may display rainbow coloration sheen floating on water. So this is really important. This is all the science of it, and I'm not going to get into that because Certain other common ignitable liquids, e.g. alcohol and acetone, are water soluble. Almost all commonly used ignitable liquid accelerants tend to form flammable explosive vapors at room temperature. Almost all commonly used ignitable liquid accelerants tend to form flammable and explosive vapors at room temperature, so that's important, right? The vapors of most commonly used accelerants are heavier than air and tend to flow downward into stairwells, cellars, drains, crevices, and cracks. So this stuff, the vapors from the accelerants are heavier than the air molecule, so they tend to flow. They will drop. So that's where you can find them. This is pretty cool stuff. Common ignitable liquids used as fire accelerants do not ignite spontaneously, so they're just not going to get up and spark up a fire. So these are just some, I do want to read this first. When an ignitable liquid is poured on a floor and ignited, two major things occur. Many types of synthetic surfaces, e.g. vinyl, so this is the floor, or surface treatments will mollify, soften between the liquid and at the edges of the pool. Burning vapors adjacent to the liquid edge will cause many floor surfaces, such as wood, to char, while certain others, such as vinyl, melt and then char. As the liquid pool boils off, its edge recedes. So this is all great shit, right? Scientific experiments have shown that maximum concentrations of ignitable liquid residues are more often found at the edges of the burn pattern and minimum concentrations towards the center. So most of it is found at the edges of the burn pattern and smaller amounts towards the center. Some arson investigators believe this is controversial, so they'll take samples from both the edge and the center. So this is all cool shit, right? So like I said, if you want to check this out, it's Interfire Online. I honestly don't know how I found this, but it was pretty cool. It's dated, but So let's go. Already 5:15. Let's do the fire thing. So let's get out of this, shut the music off here, and let's go to some Canadian Fire. Because these fires have been just out of control, man. We'll watch a little of this.
Canada's fire authorities have never seen anything like it.
They're breaking all records here.
Almost 6,000 separate wildfires have burnt all over the country.
It's the worst forest fire in record history. It's never happened before.
The fires are more intense, they're bigger.
How far needs to go? Where's that truck?
Canada has been overwhelmed.
I lost my home. I lost my vehicles. I lost all my tools.
This has probably been one of the worst years for fires in Canada, period.
So an international force of firefighters, thousands strong,
It's a mammoth effort.
has been flown in to help.
We're all in it together now.
Foreign correspondent takes you inside the fire ground. Find out how a nation better known for snow and ice is coping.
More than 15 million hectares of thick forest has been scorched, and Canada's black summer is not over.
Kia ora.
Welcome to Fire Camp at High Level,
A bit hot in here.
a United Nations of firefighters
Here we're working alongside crews from South Africa, Canada, the US.
locked in a daily, desperate battle to save homes and lives from the most serious fire threat Canada's ever faced. Clinton Newman is with the Rural Fire Service in Queensland. Here, he's acting as crew boss for Fire Team Charlie 161.
It's definitely starting to feel like the new norm. The frequency of these international deployments and the coming together and sharing of resources on the scale that we've seen, probably in the last sort of 5 to 10 years, has sort of been growing in increasing frequencies.
It's been thick, dense smoke for days.
Kerry-Ann Cummins is with the New South Wales Forestry Corporation. Here, she works a chainsaw, felling dangerous burnt trees.
The last 2 days I've woken up with a bit of a sore throat. It's a combination of smoke, lack of sleep. You know, you're putting out hot spots and the ash just comes everywhere. Up here, it's daylight for 3/4 of the day. So you might be fighting the fire for 10, 15 hours and not realise that, oh my goodness, it's 8:30 at night and the sun's still in the middle of the sky. So it sort of throws you a little bit. Every day you get back and you take a big deep breath and go, oh, I made it.
The South African contingent has brought more than their firefighting prowess. They've also taken on responsibility for lifting the spirits of the entire camp before the morning briefing gets underway.
Gotta have coffee, man. Gotta have coffee.
Totally amazing what's happening here. It's sort of Makes you quite emotional, actually. It's to see how far they've come and the spirit that they generate. It's just amazing.
But this morning, things have taken a serious turn.
So I ask you now all to take a moment of silence.
News has reached the camp. A falling tree in British Columbia has killed a 19-year-old firefighter. The first fatality of the season.
Unfortunately, there
So this was done, when was this done? 1 day ago.
was a loss of a firefighter. So that's an opportunity to reflect on that and acknowledge her contribution, and also
Firefighters have better coffee than the police. It's almost like a tactic. Like if you drink coffee at a police station, it's just absolutely disgusting.
excuse me, sir.
It's a stark reminder for all, this is dangerous work.
Meanwhile, special air quality statements are in effect for much of Alberta today due to wildfire smoke.
Oops.
They call Alberta the Texas of Canada. All over the province, it's canola.
So let me just go here. And this is going to be just an opinion, but it's about basically a pretty good opinion, I think. So what we have here is actually, I can probably fix this here, give it a better map. That's not going to work. Let's do this one here. Okay, this will work, I think. All right, so basically this is our planet. And this is the United States here, it's Canada up here. South America. So you have west here, east here, right? So I'm going to put this into motion. And it's been a, whoops, there goes my phone. Well, at least I didn't drop it in the water again. All right, so it's been a pretty persistent pattern this entire year. Now, normally you have, westerly breezes, you got westerly winds that go from west to east. That's always the case. But this year here, what's going on is these winds here, and these upper level, what they call westerlies, are a lot warmer than normal. So they call that either a La Nina or an El Nino pattern. But the other problem this year is you have what they call solar flares from our current star, which is the sun. So you have solar flares working into this, which is causing warmer than normal temperatures aloft. So that's causing more heat to transfer down to the surface. And I think that's what's causing a lot of these fires. The Hawaii fire is a little different because of a hurricane that passed to the south of it, which dragged winds with it. So that caused a lot of the wind-blown fires. But this year here, the water temperatures, especially along the East Coast, and basically throughout the entire Atlantic, are warmer than normal, and that's probably because of this here. So I just wanted to point that out. So I'm going to stop sharing this. We're going to play one more thing, and then I'm going to get out of here because it's 5:30 and I got shit to do. So I do want to play this last where am I? Right here. Thing here, and I'm going to play this one here. Okay, so let's do that. So this is this was done 4 years ago, and I believe this is Galen. So let's play this.
4 girls killed in a house fire in Flora 2 years ago says this case deserves more attention.
Galen Rose and her family are speaking out tonight to 13 investigators about what they call a disparity in efforts by the Indiana State Police.
Our Sandra Chapman tells us tonight why the family believes they've been left in the dark.
I don't want my babies to get lost. I want my babies to get justice.
Thousands of miles away from Flora.
I don't want my babies to get.
Look at him. Adorable.
I want my babies to get justice.
Thousands of miles away from Flora and the home where her 4 little girls died, Galen Rose is breaking a long silence.
Because I miss my girls a lot. It's just been a little hard for me, but I just be trying to stay strong.
She's such a wonderful person.
I feel like I've been left in the dark.
She's talking by phone about her girls and what her family sees as a disparity in effort to get answers about the murders of 2 Delphi girls and the fire in November 2016 that killed her 4 girls. Investigators say the fire was arson. If someone said it, who?
There were 4 babies that nobody's going after to find out what happened.
Leslie Anderson is visiting Indiana. She's Galen's aunt and lives in California, where Galen and her father also now reside.
Nobody cares. Not in Carroll County, not in the state of Indiana. I'm appalled that the state of Indiana has not done more.
Hard words from a family who...
Well, we care, and we're going to try to get as many answers as possible. Period.
Claims state police investigators are less responsive to the plight of their girls than the murders of the Delphi girls. Anderson says she saw the Delphi case on national news just weeks ago after state police put out a new sketch.
This investigation is national.
It wasn't the first time. 10 months after the Delphi case, the state police superintendent was on national TV talking about Abby and Libby. The widespread attention brought in more than 26,000 tips. But what about Kiana, Kiera, Cariel, and Kiani? Galen's father says there are no updates, privately or publicly. The family says state police simply showed up on the 2-year anniversary of the fire.
It's a hard pill to swallow. You got 4 dead girls. You got 4 babies. How would the other family feel?
Citing the drastic sketch changes in the Delphi case, Galen says she worries about the fire investigation too.
Are they even looking in the right direction? That even question. How can you mistake somebody for 2 years? I kind of question, like, are they doing their job right?
These 4 little African-American girls are just a tragedy that happened. And if we just shut up, they'll shut up. And then
So I just put that fire website into the chat.
it'll go away. And that'll be the end of that. We're not going to go away.
A message Galen echoes from thousands of miles away.
We still gonna fight the fight no matter what. I just want more answers. I want my babies in the spotlight. I want my babies out there. I want everybody to know we fighting and try to figure out what happened.
The family of Galen Rose is working on a meeting with Indiana State Police investigators. We have also reached out to see what, if any, additional steps will be taken to help prompt more tips in this case. Now, if you have information, the arson hotline number is 1-800-382-4628. The state is offering a $5,000 reward, while members of the Flora community say they have raised an additional $20,000 in hopes of getting answers.
Which got stolen. Literally stolen.
All right, Sandra, thanks. And in the last hour, we've just learned that Indiana State Police will address the media about this Flora investigation tomorrow. That news conference is expected to take place around noon. We'll be out there and we'll let you know what they tell us.
Thank you. 3 years after an intentionally set fire killed 4 sisters, the house where it happened still stands. However, Indiana State Police say they're done investigating the home. News 18's Isabella Caruso joins us live in Flora this morning where the deadly fire happened 3 years ago. Isabella, what exactly did State Police tell you?
Sergeant Cam Riley
Absolutely nothing.
told me that whatever happens to this home right behind me is up to the owner. I asked him if the home needs to stay untouched because of the ongoing investigation, and he says no. He says ISP has not asked the owner of the home to keep it in the condition that it's currently in. Take a look at your screen. This is what the home looks like 3 years after the fire that killed 4 sisters. There is still visible damage on the exterior of the home, and there are even old toys sitting on the front porch, which I could only assume belonged to the girls. The windows are all boarded up, and the front porch is falling apart. The people living in Flora want
That just sucks. Oh my God.
something done about it.
I've heard different people in the community say, like, oh, we just need to tear it down and hopefully then it'll help people heal. I hope we can have answers quick, and so it's justice for the mom and the girls.
I made a call to the owner of the building, and my message was not returned. Here's a timeline of what's happened during the past 3 years of this investigation. The fire happened on November 21st, 2016.
It's a beautiful picture right there.
That's when Kiara, Cariel, and Kiana died. Only their mother made it out of the home alive. 2 months later, the fire was ruled as arson. In June 2017, the fire investigator assigned to this case resigned. In October 2017, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People the fire investigator assigned to this case resigned. 2 months later, the fire was ruled as arson. In June
2 months later, it was deemed an arson. 2 months. 2 months of lost time.
2017, the fire investigator assigned to this case resigned. In October 2017, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the investigation into the fire seemed like a cover-up. However, Indiana State Police denied those allegations. In November 2017, 2 officials involved in this case both resigned: the Carroll County prosecutor and the Flora fire chief. One thing to note, the fire chief who resigned is the son of the fire investigator who resigned 1 year before him. Todd Trent was named Flora fire chief in January of 2018, and he does still hold that position. The Indianapolis Fire Department conducted a peer review of the fire that same month. And in November of 2018, the mother of the 4 girls sued the landlord of the home. And we were also during that month that there are, quote, solid persons of interest in this case by ISP. Well, Trevor, as we go through that timeline, it's incredible to see how many people were involved in this case, and a lot of them are not involved in it any longer.
It's hard to believe it's been 3 years. Isabella, you spoke with a lot of the folks involved in this investigation. Many people are frustrated because there's not a lot of new information to report 3 years later. Why is that the case?
They're tight-lipped. All these investigators are. I spoke with several officials who are involved in this case, and I all asked them the same question. Has anything new been found in the past year? They all told me that they cannot comment on that. But so at this point, we don't know if any progress has been made into this fatal house fire investigation in the past 365 days. But what we do know is that this is not a cold case, and there are several people still actively investigating every day. And so we will continue to ask those questions and, of course, report any new information that we do learn. Trevor?
Okay, Isabel Caruso reporting live for us in Florida.
So this is the arson hotline still up today. 1-800-382-4628. All right. So the good news for everybody is I'm out of here. It is past 5:30 in the morning, and I'm going to get out of here. For anybody who's going to watch on the replay, thank you very much. But I'm going to get out. Everybody have a great, safe weekend. Enjoy the football on Saturday and Sunday. And we'll be, I will be starting on my other channel, Danger Dave 2, pretty soon here with the football pool that we do, me and my buddy Steven and my wife. We have a football poll, and every Sunday afternoon or so we go over the games of the week. So if you guys want to join that, that's great. Other than that, everybody have a great weekend, and I will see you later.